Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's edition of RE405, where I take old stories I've narrated and update into modern audio standards. This particular story is called It Was a Bad Move, written by chuckysnow. The Grunkalians decided to enter human space. Little did they know the race that they faced. It was a bad move. They didn't go with peace, but instead pulled out guns. At a remote colony, they grabbed a young one. It was a bad move. They could have grabbed a soldier or some other grown one, but they took a little boy as he tried to run. It was a bad move. For Growlnalkans didn't understand humans loved their young, and they would try to have the kidnapping undone, without a care, but being easily traced. They ran and went back into space. It was a bad move. The child wasn't special, he wasn't great, but he had parents, and they were irate. Towards the Growlnalkans, they fostered a great deal of hate. "I'll hunt them down," the man said to his mate, for they had made a bad move. He got a crew together quite fast. An oath they swore to the very last. "We'll get him back," in their chorus to mass. The Growlnalkans didn't give up, but passed. It would be a bad move. The Grunkalians tried to jump away from the star, but the ship was slow. It didn't get far. Not all humans are warlike, but some parents are. So they raised their weapons, ready to jar. It was a bad move. The alien captain came online. "You can blow us up, all well and fine, but you'll kill our prisoner at the same time. You'd snuff us out alongside your sunshine." That would be a bad move. "So stand down and try be smart. Give us some room, and then we'll depart. Pay us a ransom. You won't be long apart. Just a short break from this little sweetheart." It was a bad move. The humans couldn't fire, that they knew, and as their frustrations and their anger grew, they let the invaders pass on right through, vowing they'd make the invaders rue. The very bad move. The Grunkalians had planned their attack, and they had no plans at all to get back their trophy, currently tied up in a sack. For it was a prize for their king, Orgrath the Whack. This was a bad move. Human children had some organs and glands, and the chemicals they made were considered quite grand. Grunkalians got high from hormonal contraband. They flew away, thinking they had the upper hand. This was a bad move. Their ship warped out to their distant home. The humans watched in their navigation dome. The computer plotted the course in cold monochrome. The aliens weren't scared of their prizes' shared genome. That was a bad move. The humans raced home and got some more friends. Some had weapons, others odds and ends. Others had ships that would help them defend the life of a child whom the aliens append. That was a bad move. For the aliens wasted no time at all. They went straight to the spot of their king's grand throne hall. "Oh, thwack," they in hustle would call, "we have a human child, a lovely windfall." That was a bad move. The king was quick to poke at the child. Needles were used and the pain was not mild, but the pleasure of the glands gave was certainly wild. With his first dose, the king slumped in his chair and smiled. It was a bad move. For they should have thought more of the men who were now racing to rescue their specimen. But the aliens thought nothing of it then. They just kept draining the poor child again. It was a bad move. They should have thought more of the boy and less of their narcotic joy, for they worried naught for the envoy, who was coming at warp speed to destroy. It was a bad move. The boy's fluids were simply too sweet, and those glands they did completely deplete. Finally, they allowed the boy's life to complete, just as the arrival of a human fleet. It was a bad move. The ships landed hard, they knew where to go. They blew the planet's doors, guards could hardly slow. The men were into the throne room they'd flow, and where the father realized his greatest woe. An alien giggled, and that was an exceptionally bad move. The father fired his gun until spent. He killed all attendants, and then he went up to the king himself with vengeful intent. "Stop this now," roared the king eminent. It was a bad move. "No, I won't kill you here," the father roared. "I have a better plan for you in store. You need to see the results of your plan has bore. You have hurt me. Hurt me to the core. And that was a bad move. I need to make an example of you now. I cannot have anyone thinking that this will allow. Humans are the one race that never will bow. To show that your planet I will now plow, because you made a bad move. So into their ships and up into the air, the humans blasted the palace from there. Pretty soon you couldn't tell where that damn king had sat in his chair, because he made a bad move. The dad grabbed his radio and said, "Defeat! I've taken your king for my child petite. While my friends destroy your entire space fleet, I'm dropping your king from 1,000,000 feet, for he made a very bad move. Our vengeance is over, you lost and we won. We could have sent you all to oblivion. We holstered our weapons, and fight is now done. This is what happens when you take a son. That was a bad move." The king then pleaded for his life. "Sorry for causing the man so much strife. Not just me, you've also hurt my good wife. Now exit the airlock, or I'll go slow by my knife." And the king made his last move. End of story. This particular story is called Exotic Pets, Business Negotiations, written by apophis-pegasus. Yes, I'm an alien, calm down. Calm down, you... Oh, dearie me. I've got a translator turned off. That's better. Now, please, calm down. I'm not going to hurt you. I said that. Yes, really. No, the fungi you ate last planet rotations were perfectly non-psychotropic. However, I will gladly obtain some more potent fungal growths if that makes you cease that annoying racket. Good. Now we can talk. Or rather, I can talk and you can listen. And before you start, yes, I am an alien. No, this is not some elaborate prank. No, I will not eat you. And while I must ensure your physical health, it will be through scanning arrays and nanotech, not probing. Now, that we have the basics out of the way, let me tell you why you are here. I am a, purveyor and seller of exotic interstellar fauna, and, well, you're the fauna. Don't look at me like that, it's nothing personal. I've got mouths to feed. Granted, they're all mine, but it's still valid. Actually, I'm a female, and canines don't exist on our planet, or any planet other than yours. Now I'll have you know, that rude little thing, that my brood sires have been pair bonded for over 70 cycles, and had me well over 10 cycles into theirs. Look, I assure you it's not as bad, really. Try not to think of it as slavery, since your species lives on a Deathworld and hasn't been a subject of vetting by the Galactic Alliance. It's more like being a pet. You're right, once you say it out loud, it doesn't sound better at all. Domestic organism? No. Sentient in holding? No. That sounds like a music group. Undentured sapient? No. All right, let's try this again. You're worth a lot of money. No, just hear me out. Lots of guys and gals out there in the big bad universe want human, sort of a status symbol. But the holding tech we have is woefully inadequate for your kind. What do I mean? I mean your species has evolved on one of the deadliest planets in the galaxy. I'm being serious. Noxious gas, punishing gravity, dangerous predators. Hell, you all even try to wipe each other out every 100 or so cycles. That makes you some of the toughest, meanest organisms out there. You could probably crush most beings with your bare hands. And that makes every two-bit warlord, Lannister, and prissy noble scion want one of their very own. They can't snap you up fast enough. But there's a catch, see? They probably won't be able to hold you. But regardless of whether or not they can keep you, I still get paid. And it's not like most of them have enough experience to tell one human from another. So if you were to escape and come back here, and I sold you to another shining example of sapience, there we go. What's in it for you? Well, you get to see the galaxy, lots of adventure and that sort of thing. When you're not running away from despots, warlords, and spoiled brats, my dwelling is quite luxurious. And there are quite a few alien species that you might be compatible with. I don't know whether you have an antennae or a port, though, but as Papa said, everyone interfaces with someone. Thus, you get a percentage, of course. I'm not a swindler. Not of you, anyway. Of course, it's good for you. Even property can go to a bar every now and again. How much? 10%? Absolutely not. 15, 20, 25, and that's my final offer. Fine. 35. But just don't break the holding cell. Damn robber. On second thought, maybe I won't fix that crack. Makes you seem dangerous. Yes, pleasure doing business with you too. Now, I know that Lannister is looking for a new attraction. Hope you like sand. End of story. I'd greatly like to thank our Tier 5 channel members, Casper Arnholt, John Creighton, Manatharia, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.